Hey everyone, welcome back to Garage Football. Here's our predictions for the upcoming 2022-23 season. If it's anything like last season, then we'll be in for an absolute treat. So we'll be predicting where each club will finish this season, from the relegation sides all the way up to the top, who's going to win the league. And we'll also pick our surprise teams as well for this season. So if you're new around here, please subscribe to Garage Football for more watch-alongs, vlogs, and other football content. Like this video if you enjoy it, and let us know your Premier League season predictions in the comments below. It'd be great to read those, of course. So, lads, thanks for joining. So, Lou, you won our predictions competition for last season. So, let's see if you can make it 2 in a row for this season. So, as I say, we'll start with the bottom side, the other relegation sides, all the way up in ascending order to the top. So, Lou, as you won last season, you can kick us off for this season. So, who's going to finish bottom, mate?
It's going to backfire massively, isn't it? No pressure after I had a decent prediction last year. Do you know what? I actually feel like, I think the last couple of years, I felt like the bottom three was like kind of a lot more clear cut, kind of a little bit more easy. And I'm a little bit more uncertain than usual. But for bottom this year, I'm going to go Southampton, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I feel like they've struggled in recent years.
Good reaction, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they've sort of struggled in recent years, and with some of the other teams around them, teams like Forest and that, I think you might have some of that first season syndrome and stuff. Like the last couple have done with Brentford and Leeds and stuff, where they've done well. Sort of that
Sheffield United as well.
Sheffield, exactly. So, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be tougher than this year, so that's why I've selected them as bottom this year.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. And you, Ryan? Who's going to finish bottom of the pile?
I've gone for Bournemouth. I think they've they've been promoted. They could prove us wrong, and like Lou said, have that kind of spurt for the first years. But I think they've got quite a weak squad, and they just might sort of come a bit short this year.
Yeah, agreed, mate. I'm going to go with you, Ryan, and say Bournemouth to finish bottom. They haven't invested in many players as of yet. Obviously, this is before before the first game, which is Palace and Arsenal on the Friday. So there's still a few weeks left in the transfer window for all these sides, obviously Bournemouth included. But at the moment, at the time of recording on 3rd of August, they've only signed Marcus Tavernier and a couple of free transfers. One of them being Ryan Fredericks from West Ham. I think they're going to rely heavily on Dominic Solanke to transfer his championship form to the Premier League, which he hasn't really done in his career so far for Chelsea, Liverpool, or previously at Bournemouth when they got relegated under Eddie Howe. I don't think Bournemouth squad is as good as that side that got relegated under Howe, or even when they got promoted the first time round with the 2015-16 season being the first in the Prem under Eddie Howe. So I don't think their squad's good enough as those two teams. And Scott Parker's a good manager, but he's still unproven at this level. So I think Bournemouth to finish bottom. Yeah, so I agree with you, Ryan. So let's move up to 19th. Ryan, do you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, Wolves. No, I'm joking.
You learnt from your mistake last season, mate.
I learnt the hard way, mate. Watch them get relegated now. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm going Fulham, mate. I'd like to see them do better than that, and I'd love to be proved wrong, because I'd like to see them actually stay up. But they have a track record, don't they, of parachuting? And again, I don't think they've got a big squad that's going to take them to the next level, really. So I think it's going to be one of those seasons where they're up and then they're down.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I've got Fulham as 19th, mate. They're not Norwich, aren't they? Where their last few seasons have been up and down, really. I think a couple of signs that look pretty interesting. I think they'll fit in well. Bernd Leno, former Arsenal goalkeeper, he's a very good Premier League goalkeeper, so that's a good sign. I think they've signed João Palhinha, I think I'm going to say, from Sporting CP. Defensive midfielder. So I think they'll fit in well with their expansive style under Marco Silva. Would obviously work brilliantly in the Championship. Don't think that'll work so much in the Premier League. I think they'll be far too open. And on Marco Silva, I think the jury's still out on him as a Premier League manager. He's had a few spells at different clubs, Everton and Watford and Hull. But yeah, I think the jury's still out on him in the top flight, much like Scott Parker, really. And it's a bit similar to Bournemouth. They're going to rely heavily on Alexander Mitrovic. I mean, he was unreal. He was 43 league goals in the Championship, which is scarily good. But it's going to be obviously difficult for him to replicate anywhere near that. So So yeah, they're going to rely heavily on him, and I think it'd be a struggle for Fulham, unfortunately. So Lou, who's 19th for you?
I'm going to go Bournemouth 19th. So, I mean, really for the reasons that you guys have already covered. I think I could add too much more value, basically. But yeah, I think that they haven't got the sort of squad strength and depth to sort of stay up in this league compared to all the other teams around them that are spending money and, strengthening, whereas they're kind of coming up. So yeah, I think they'll be 19th this year.
Yeah, no, fair point, mate. Okay, so 18th, last relegation spot. I'm going to go with Southampton. They only scored 43 league goals last season, mainly in part to James Ward-Prowse, who had an unbelievable season, and they've kept hold of him, and they probably will do until the end of the window. And he's obviously their captain, their talisman. They're going to rely heavily on him this season. They haven't got Broja on loan at Southampton this season, so I think goal's going to be a real struggle for them. The likes of Che Adams and Adam Armstrong really need to step up. They probably need to buy a couple of forwards or maybe get someone in on loan as well. The pressure's on Hasenhüttl because the last 2 seasons they've really dropped off in the second half of the season. If he doesn't get off to a good start in the first half, I think he's going to be really under pressure. So it's a big season for Southampton. Lou, have you gone for 18th?
I have gone for Fulham. Same reasons that you kind of already echoed. I think they were sort of all interchangeable between us all, really, aren't they? I think the same reasons and the same thought process. But I still think they'll be, within that sort of bottom 3. So I'm going to put them at 18th.
Yeah, nice one. And you, Ryan?
So I keep changing my mind with this one. All day I've been thinking of 17th, 18th, and I still am unsure, to be honest. I probably will watch this back and go, I should have said that, but I've made my mind up and I'll stick to it. Nottingham Forest, to have gone for. I think Forest are above the remaining 2 newly promoted teams simply because, simply the number of players they've bought in this summer. But whilst Forest have made several quality additions, including 2 top half Premier League talents, Lingard and Henderson, I think their downfall is likely to come because they're trying to bed in so many players, 12, at once, really. And we've seen sides in the past, like Fulham, Tottenham, sign a high number of players in one window, and most of the part, it just doesn't always work, So I could be completely wrong, and that's why I'm so unsure as to who to pick. But that's my reason why I think Nottingham Forest will go down.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Okay, let's move on to 17th. So who's just going to stay up? So Ryan, we'll go back to you on this one.
So yeah, again, between these 2 is what I keep getting confused about, and I agree with your points exactly. Southampton, I think they're going to struggle this year, and like I say, I would not be surprised if they are 18th. But yeah, I've gone with them. Again, they haven't necessarily got the biggest squad, but I think their saving grace is that they've got a good manager, and that can just hopefully have the right tactics to keep them up. But we shall see.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Okay, and you, Lou?
Yeah, this is. I'm going to go for Leeds. I feel like obviously last season wasn't good for them, and obviously losing Bielsa, and then obviously I liked what I saw from Jesse Marsch. To be fair, I feel like he still needs to be proven at this level, but I felt like he brought a bit of a feel-good factor. But I do think it's going to be hard for him this season, and especially losing Rafinha, losing Calvin Phillips as well, who's sort of been part of that bedrock of that classic Leeds sort of renaissance over the last couple of years. And I just don't see any level that they've sort of replaced or looking to replace those sort of players with equal quality kind of thing. So I think compounded by losing big players like that. I mean, we saw what happened with Phillips' injury last year, didn't we? How much they missed him as well. So I think with him gone and Rafinha gone for the goals, I think they're really going to struggle this year. So I'm going to put Leeds at 17th.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. I've got Leeds for 17th as well. As you say, sold 2 of the best players in Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. I think the big injury they really didn't get over last season was Patrick Bamford up front. They need him to stay fit for most of the season and obviously get his form back. And it's vital they keep Jack Harrison as well because he was brilliant along with Rafinha towards the end of the season. So if Jack Harrison gets sold or I really fear for them, they might even go down. So, but I think they brought a few players in. I think Jesse Marsch has managed at least one of them, and he sort of would know them from the sort of Austrian and German sort of leagues. So they might come off if he knows them, gets the best out of them. Then you never know; they might finish higher. But I think. I think it'll be another long season, unfortunately, for Leeds. So let's move on to 16th. So, Lou, do you want to go with the team for 16th for you?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Forest 16th. I think, again, adaptation to the Premier League again after a long period out. I mean, to be fair, it can work wonders like it did with Leeds. But I feel like it's going to be a tough test. And as Ryan said, with obviously, new signings and things and a new league and that, will they be able to handle it and adapt to well? So I think they'll stay up, but I think it'll be a challenge. I don't necessarily see them maybe sort of replicating that Leeds thing, sort of kind of all guns blazing sort of thing. So, yeah, I've gone for Forest the 16th for those reasons.
Yeah, fair enough. I've gone for Everton for 16th. I think it'll be another struggle for Everton this season. Only just stayed up last season. I think that was more due to some of the other teams not doing as good. Doing worse than Everton, rather than Everton being amazing. Obviously, the home crowd at Goodison Park were vital, and they will be again this season. Obviously, Everton's away record was woeful last season, wasn't it? So that's got to be better. But it's going to be tough. Obviously, Richarlison there, shining light from last season, basically kept them up. He's joined Spurs. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, can he get back to his form pre-injury? If he does, then obviously that will help them. James Tarkowski and Dwight McNeil are decent enough signings from Burnley, but Everton need more this season. Frank Lampard is a decent enough manager. I think the jury's still out on him as like Marco Silva and Scott Parker at Premier League level. But I think he actually adapted his tactics pretty well, actually, I've got to say, towards the end of last season. Putting a bit more of a old school Everton up and at him as opposed to playing from the back. So that seems to work, and depends what he's going to do this season. So I think Everton for 16th for me. Ryan, who are you going for 16th, mate?
I've gone for the same, mate. I've gone for Everton, and I can't say much different to what you've said. I completely agree with all your points there, mate. I think they had a poor season last year, just about survived relegation. I didn't see him going down, but we didn't know, did we? We thought last year, would this be the first year that we witnessed Everton going down? But they just stayed up, and I think they'll have enough to rebuild and not be sort of fighting relegation, but equally not have an amazing season. So that's my kind of prediction for Everton.
No, good points, mate. Okay, so up to 15th now is my surprise team for this season, which is Nottingham Forest. Yes, I think you guys are right now. I've spent a bit of money, bought a lot of players in. I think it's different though to when Fulham and QPR, I think Sunderland are amongst other examples where you just scattergun approach and buying people for the sake of it. I think there's more of a strategy under the fantastic leadership of Steve Cooper, who's proven himself to be an excellent manager at all levels, England under 17s, Swansea, and now at Nottingham Forest. The job he did there. He wasn't even in charge at the start of the season. I think it's that Chris Hughton, he turned it around unbelievably well. So, and Ryan, yeah, you're right about a couple of signings. Dean Henderson on loan is a brilliant sign. I think Jesse Lingard on a free, I think on paper is a good signing. I think he's personally gone for the money. I don't think there's no doubt about that. But if he can replicate anywhere near the form he showed at West Ham on loan the other season, then I think Nottingham Forest will be in for a good season. Obviously, it's their first Premier League taste of Premier League football this century. The crowd at the City Ground would be right behind the team. And Steve Cooper, okay, he's inexperienced at Premier League level, but as a manager, he's got a really good way about him from reading the stuff I've read on The Athletic and other websites, other media. He seems to have a real togetherness at the City Ground and not the Forest club. So I think for that reason, I think they'll survive relegation pretty comfortably, actually, and finish 15th. So yeah, that's my prediction for the Reds to finish in 15th. So Ryan, who's 15th for you?
I've gone for Brentford, mate. Surprised me last year, and I think they'll surprise us again by still having. I reckon they'll start off really strong, but I don't see them doing worse or better than 15th. You never know; they could finish higher. But yeah, 15th for Brentford this year.
No, good stuff. I think the story of Brentford's brilliant, so I wouldn't mind them finishing there. So Lou, who's 15th for you, mate?
Yeah, I'm going Everton as well. haven't got too much to add on to what you said, Bill. But I think I just think the sort of fan base seems very split, very fractured at the moment. They don't seem very happy, obviously, that their club's gone the way it's gone. You know, I really like Frank Lampard, and I always hope he does well. But I just don't see what sort of job he's going to be able to do with the level of players that they've got, and especially losing Richarlison as well. You know, who was like we said, really a sort of a diamond in the rough for that team, wasn't he? Really over the last couple of seasons. So
yeah,
losing him, I just don't see where the goals are going to come from. And you know, if you're managing a team without decent attacking threats in such a sort of attack-oriented league as well as the Premier League is now, I just think it's going to be a rough season for them. I even think they could go down. Honestly, I really do. I was sort of tempted to put them in that sort of bracket, but again, you know what it's like when you've got a tough, hardcore fan base. You can dig deep when it matters, like they did to avoid relegation last year. So I'm going to put them 15th for that reason, on top of the sort of things that you mentioned as well, Bill.
Yeah, fair points, mate. Yeah, it's a tough one, these next few sides, aren't they? So let's move on to... all right, so we're coming to 14th now. So we'll stick with you, Lou. Who have you got for 14th?
14th, I am going to go for Brentford. Again, second season syndrome, but I think they've done well last season. Obviously, blinding. I mean, they destroyed us, didn't they? So on the first game of last season, which was quite a wake up call, thinking we were going to go there and trounce them, and they absolutely battered us pillar to post. So I think they've got enough in the tank and a good taste of Premier League experience. Thomas Frank has obviously done a great job as well.
Unbelievable, yep.
Wasn't he in contention for Premier League Manager of the Season last year? Did he win it?
Yeah, I'm rightly so. I'm not sure if he won it, but he was certainly in the running.
Was up for it? Yeah. So brilliant. You know, the fan base and stuff did wonders. So yeah, I think they're going to be comfortable this year as well. You know, they've got goal scoring threats, got some aerial presence as well. So yeah, I think they'll do well. I'm going to put them 14th this year.
Yeah, no, good stuff, mate. And for you, Ryan, for 14th?
I went for Brighton this year. I think they have one of the best managers in the Premier League in Graham Potter. I think they'll probably class that as a good season if they can get to 14th. I don't know if I see him, finishing above that so much, because the Seagulls, sold one of their top players, Bissouma. I can't even pronounce his surname.
Bissouma.
Bissouma, there you go. Good stats last season, but sold, and yet to replace him. So, but I think they can have an okay season. Good for them, and I think they'll finish 14th.
Yeah, I think obviously it's going to be hard for them to replicate their highest ever league finish, but I think 14th will still be a good enough season for Brighton. For 14th, I'm going to agree with you, Lou. I'm going to go Brentford as well. I think they'll be similar to where they were sort of last season. They were obviously a revelation. Obviously, Christian Eriksen not signing on is a blow, but I think they've been linked heavily with Mikkel Damsgaard, his Danish international teammate. If he does sign and gets over his injury problems, I think he'll be a good addition. They've signed King Lewis Potter from Hull, who's highly rated from the Championship, and if he does anywhere near how Jared Bowen has done, he's at West Ham. You come from Hull as well, come from the Championship. He does anywhere near what Bowen's done. I mean, Brentford would have a fantastic season, and I think even signing Ben Mee on the free actually from Burnley. He's a solid, experienced Premier League player and good leadership qualities. Obviously helped manage Burnley at the end of last season after Sean Dyche's sacking. So that's an astute signing for me with Ben Mee. But yeah, Brentford for 14th for me. Let's move on to 13th. So Ryan, who you gone for 13th?
I actually went for Leeds United. I do see your points actually, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're, battling relegation this season. But they had a bad season last year, and I just see them, pushing harder this year, and I don't see them being at the top of the table or anything, top half.
Nothing to go for Champions League, mate.
I meant top half of the second half is what I meant.
Right.
Move over Liverpool.
Yeah, those days of Mark Viduka and that are over, mate.
I know, sadly. But, I see them having a fairly good season. So there you go.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, mate. So, for 13th, I've gone for Wolves. I think Raul Jimenez's injury pre-season will be a blow to them. I think they're short up front. They've got the likes of Pedro Neto and Podence who could play up there, and Wang as well. who did decently last season, but they started really well last season, but faded away. They were in line for European competition, but in the end, I think it was 10th they finished. So in the end, probably disappointing. I think it'd be quite a similar sort of story. Maybe finish a bit below that. Traditionally under Nuno Espirito Santo and even Bruno Lage last season, they don't score a lot of goals, and I think what was it? They only scored 38, so one goal a game, which is why in the end why they didn't finish higher. And I think the other sides have improved certainly in attacking sense. I expect them to be outstanding at the back as always with Conor Cody at the back. Jose Sarr in goal was a revelation last season. Max Kilman was good as well. Still got Ruben Neves in midfield as well. Assuming he stays, of course. But I just think Wolves will just drop a couple of places and finish 13th this season. So Lou, who's 13th for you?
I'm going to go Brighton. Again, obviously not going to replicate last season. It would be hard to do that. But I mean, just echoing the points that you guys have already covered, really. I think they'll have a good positive season again. I think like the top half of the table will be tough. But I think, once you get a taste of it, and it sort of inspires the fan base to make them believe that it can, that it can happen, like, sort of edging towards those European spots. So, I'm going to go 13th for Brighton this year.
No, good points, mate. Okay, so let's move on to 12th. So I'm going to go with Crystal Palace. They finished 12th last season. I think they'll stay where they are. I think Patrick Vieira seems to be doing a good job there. Things are going on in South London. There's plenty of options going forward in their squad. Wolf Sahar, Usman Edouard, I think will have a better season this season. Mateta, Eze's back from injury, should be able to start the season now. I haven't got Conor Gallagher this season, unfortunately, obviously being the Chelsea squad this season. They've signed Czech Doucouré, who could be a good signing, fellow midfielder. I think, steady enough season for Palace, so 12th for me. Lou, who's 12th for you?
I was going to go Palace as well, actually. I think Vieira has done some really, really good positive stuff there, and obviously they seem to be moving in the right direction. They seem to be moving out of those lower half of the table relegation spots up the other end. So they had a decent season last year as well, didn't they? Obviously, I think was it 12th last year they finished as well. I think they can build some consistency. Obviously, you mentioned about some of the names and stuff there, Bill, as well, for summarising the players. But I think they'll have another good season. I think they'll do 12th again.
No, good stuff, mate. And for you, Ryan, who's 12th for you?
I went for Newcastle for me this year. I think, the Magpies, that they have Kieran Trippier back fit for the full season. Well, hope fingers crossed anyway for them. And they've signed a good centre back as well in Sven Botman as well. So I think they're going to have more momentum going forward. They hopefully, they might even finish higher than that this year. I could be pretty, but I'm saying 12th for Newcastle.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Okay, let's move on to 11th. So, Lou, who's 11th for you?
Yeah, some of these spots here this year, for these sort of places, I actually found it was a little bit more difficult to kind of.
I found this middle bit really difficult out the whole league, I'd say.
We sort of see it's like a lot can chop and change, can't it, as well around here. I'm going to go for Wolves. I mean, to be fair, you guys absolutely, as you particularly, Bill, summarised that Wolves perfectly a couple of minutes ago when you selected them for your position. But like you say, it's all interchangeable. But I think Wolves could hit that spot this year.
Yeah, no problem at all. Right, okay, so for 11th, I'm going to go with Brighton. Pretty much agree with what you guys have said. I think obviously losing Basuma is a huge blow. They got good money for him for Tottenham, so I think his contract is running out next season. I think it might have been, so did well to get that amount of money. So I think it will affect them a little bit, but still 11th would be an unbelievable season for Brighton, and still things are still going in the right direction under Graham Potter. And I totally agree, Ryan. I think he's one of the best managers in the Premier League. The job he's done there is unreal. I expect more the same. I expect them to create chances, dominate matches, miss a load of chances, but end up winning quite a few games. So 11th for Brighton for me. Ryan, who's 11th for you?
I went for Wolves. Completely the same points as Lou. Can't really add to that. And I just want to give them a much better place in this year than I did last year.
What was it? 8th, wasn't it? You gave them?
It was certainly in the relegation zone, yeah. So schoolboy error.
Yeah.
This will surprise you, lads.
Right,
Wolves for me.
All right, nice one. Okay, let's move into the top 10. So back to you, Ryan. Who's going to finish 10th?
Crystal Palace for me. I think Vieira's proved very successful for that team. Good players, and I don't see him struggling this season. And I think they can, they can really push on. And I think if they do finish 10th, that'd be an amazing season for them. So Crystal Palace 10th.
No, definitely things are on the way up under Patrick Vieira. That's easy to say. So I'm going to go for Leicester for 10th. It's a bit of a strange one for Leicester at the moment. Their momentum over the last few seasons has been sort of stalled, really. At the moment, they haven't actually brought any players in, and it's more their outgoings have been more of the talk in the transfer news. A number of players have already left or might leave. Kasper Schmeichel, one of their linchpins of their side the last decade or so. He's joined Nice, so that's a big hole in their goalkeeping department. Whether they'll replace him, they should do. Whether they will not remains to be seen. The likes of Wesley Fofana, James Maddison, Yuri Tillemans have all been linked with moves away. Harvey Barnes as well. Injuries didn't help them last season. Fofana himself was injured. I think Johnny Evans, Ricardo was injured for quite a lot. Jamie Vardy had his injuries as well. But you never know, with a fully fit squad, and if Brendan Rodgers, obviously still a top manager, if he can bring in a couple of players before the window, then yeah, they might transfer European places again. But it's a bit of a transition season for Leicester this season. But, even if they do finish 10th, I don't think that's a bad thing, really. So let's move on to you, Lou, for 10th.
Yeah, I was actually going to pick Leicester as well, Bill, pretty much for the same reasons. Obviously, like you say, you get players linked with moves away and players like Tielemans as well, who is obviously in the last year of his contract as well. So you sort of get that uncertainty element. When you sort of get the press start talking about players, it always seems to destabilise things for a lot of clubs a little bit. So I think, and also there was rumours, like you said, about James Maddison as well, who's obviously, along with Kasper Schmeichel, has been a big part of their squad over the last decade, as you said. So I do feel like they've stagnated as well. I don't know, they've sort of had some of their better players mature and kind of grow into it, haven't they? But I don't feel like they've really added much class over recent years, to kind of continue their progression upwards. They seem to have stayed where they're at, where everyone else has gone, and now they're at the state at the other end where their players are out of contract or leaving or moving on and stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like, to sort of start going up, they need to start spending a bit more money and, look into the future a bit more, I think. So I think for that reason, I don't think they're in any danger, but I think they're if they're stagnating where every other team is progressing, then they're only logically going to go a couple of places down every year, aren't they, really? They're still a strong side, and everyone rates Brendan Rodgers, doesn't they? He's a really good manager. He's proven that. So I think I don't think they're any danger of falling out the top part, the top 10 sort of spot, but I don't really see much, especially after last year, that sort of suggests that they're going to be battling for European competition this year.
No, spot on, mate. I think they're probably plateauing as a side at the moment. I think Brendan Rodgers was quoted recently saying they need to balance the books. I think that might be why a lot of their players have been linked with moves away, and also the quality of players. Do you know what I mean? So, be interesting to see what happens with Leicester. I think they're the team to look out for transfer-wise over the next few weeks until the window closes. So, let's move up the table a little bit. Let's move to 9th. Lou, who's 9th for you?
Yeah, so this year, my surprise team is Newcastle, so I'm going to put them at 9th this year. I feel like they, especially with the new regime and having a sort of full season, and obviously Eddie Howe having more time, and obviously in January last year they started bringing in better players as well, didn't they? Yeah. So I think to see a full season with the energy of the crowd, because even the last performances at the end of last season against Arsenal and stuff, and they absolutely trounced us. They've shown that they've got way more in the tank, and belief and some depth than they've ever had in more recent years, and especially such a passionate fan base. I know you boys have been up there and stuff, and you've been around St James's, and you've been around the people and what a footballing city it is. And I feel like if you give those people the hope and the, belief that the club can succeed. I mean, they had a good season last year. I mean, where was it they finished in the end? They finished somewhere around there anyway, didn't they? They finished 11th last year, yeah. So
yeah.
I think
from where they were as well when obviously Eddie Howe took over, it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think they Ryan mentioned Sven Botman, but I think they've signed Matt Targett as well, haven't they?
Permanently, yeah.
So that's another really good signing, and shoring up defensively as well with experienced Premier League players like him as well. So yeah, I think they're my surprise team for this year, and I'm going to put them at 9th.
It's a really good shout. So Ryan, who's 9th for you, pal?
I've gone for Aston Villa this year. I think obviously their 22 season ended pretty well in an uninspiring fashion, really, finishing way down in 14th. But I'd say Steven Gerrard, transfer windows, etc. He's got business done fairly, pretty good, fairly early in the summer. And for the most part of it, I'd say it's pretty smart as well. Coutinho, now a permanent fixture at Villa Park. He's got really good defensive, midfielder. Who did well in League One last season. And Diogo Carlos as well has also joined their ranks. So I see them obviously with Gerrard as well. With his, I know it's different in the Scottish Premier League as opposed to the Premier League. That's a different podcast in itself. But for him to go unbeaten with Rangers, it still proves he's a good manager, and I think he's I think he can do well for Villa this year.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I totally agree. We'll go Aston Villa as well for ninth. I think they were inconsistent. Obviously, hence finishing 14th under both obviously Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard. I think the spine of the team, as you said, mate, is improved with Diego Carlos and Boubacar Kamara on free. He was really highly rated, sought after Kamara, so that's a real coup for Aston Villa to get him on a free. And I think actually a couple of the existing players that Villa have from last season, they'll want them to get back to their best form. So one of them being Emi Buendia. He was signed for big money. He was inconsistent, showed flashes, but we'll hope to have more impacts on games this season. And another one who's injury hit, unfortunately for him, was Leon Bailey as well. So I think if them two in particular can get back to their best form, alongside obviously Ollie Watkins is a good forward. Danny Ings has proven that over a number of years. So I think I expect really good things from Villa this season. Right, let's move on to 8th. I'm going to go with Newcastle. Pretty much agree with everything you said, Lou. Wouldn't disagree with any of that. Obviously a brilliant turnaround under Eddie Howe. Not just obviously the signings they made. Kieran Trippier, Bruno Guimaraes was outstanding. I think he'll be amazing again this season. Matt Targett you mentioned. I think Dan Burn was decent as well. Knows his way around the Premier League. Adds a bit of height to Newcastle's back line. Joelinton, the improvement in him from a rubbish centre forward to a powerhouse midfielder was a true coaching performance of the highest order. Obviously, he's going to start the season there. Goalkeeper was a real problem for Newcastle. Been inconsistent in the goalkeeping department. They've solved that now with Nick Pope, one of the best goalkeepers outside the top 6 for me. And as you mentioned, Rice Sven Botman. A good signing for 35 million quid. So needed another centre back. So I'm expecting big things from Newcastle. So 8 for me. Ryan, who's 8 for you, mate?
I've gone for Leicester City this year. I do agree with both of you guys. Actually, they have obviously been losing momentum over the years and gradually declining. And obviously, it's going to kill morale when there are players that are being sold and Tielemans linked to Arsenal and vice versa. So it's going to definitely have an effect on the team. But, and obviously could lose James Maddison to Newcastle as well. But, they have a fairly decent squad still. Good manager and obviously no European football as well. So that could make...
Good point. Good point. Didn't even consider that,
yeah. That could help them a little bit. So I'm going to say 8 for Leicester.
No, good points, mate. I forgot about that. They won in Europe this season. So, Lou, who've you gone for 8th?
I've gone for Villa for 8th this year. Pretty much the same reasons as you boys said. I think Stevie G's got the potential as a good manager as well. And I know obviously what we said before, Scottish League is different, but also I think he's making positive changes at Villa as well. Like he seems to have a sort of steely determination around him. Something that you might need when you go into those sort of big battles for those sort of European spots. So, yeah, I think Villa have made some positive moves, and like you say, hopefully some of their players come up trumps. And so I'm going to put them in 8th this year.
Yeah, nice one. Okay, let's move up to 7th. So, Ryan, who's 7th for you, mate?
I've gone for West Ham. I think that would be...
I'll settle for that again.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I could see West Ham pushing, for top 6. And they've got a good chance. But I think if you can get to 7th, get you into Europe again. And I think you've got a very good chance. You've got a great manager. You seem to be clicking as a group and a good unit. It's going to go one or two ways, really. You could be getting stronger and stronger, or you could gradually be like Leicester. Obviously, I know Leicester's different because they won the league and then they've started to decline. But obviously, they won the FA Cup and that brought them up a little bit, but you could also go the other way. But I don't see that. I see you kind of sort of at least kind of stagnating a little bit and or stabilising where you are. So I think 7th for West Ham.
No, I'll take your hand off for 7th again, mate. So Lou, who have you gone for 7th, mate?
7th, I've gone for West Ham as well.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I think you could even go higher than that. The thing is with West Ham is like you sort of have these amazing performances, and then just at the end of the season it dips. Like at one point you were in Champions League contention, weren't you, as well? And I think that's been for a couple of times the last season, couple of seasons as well. So going off previous seasons, I actually think you could be higher than that, but I just feel like it tends to maybe just drop off a little bit at the edge. I think for West Ham that would be the next step for consistency, is when you get into those top 4 spots. Because I mean, it seems like you're aiming for these top 4 spots in recent years and consistently as well. And semi-finals of European Championships. So everything's whatever magic they're working at West Ham is working wonders. So it's all positive in the right direction. I'd like to see West Ham do better. I'd like to see them. I think it'd be great to see West Ham in a top 4 position. But
I totally agree with that statement.
Well, no, how good would it be? It'd be a fantastic. For me, that'd be like another Leicester style story. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it'd be brilliant. But I think I feel like it just always seems to drop off just at the end down the home stretch. Like you said, with the European Europa League, obviously it was kind of lost the game in the first couple of minutes, didn't you, against Frankfurt? But it could have been completely different. Like you said, I mean, it's those big little moments, isn't it, in those big games? So the more types of games that you get, more experience in managing that level, those types of games, I think it's positive for West Ham. So I think 7th based on the last couple. I just feel like it might slip at the end a little bit. But I think you'll definitely be comfortable in the top, sort of that top 7 kind of position.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you said, lads. And I'm going to go with 7th as well for West Ham. I'm expecting another good season. Yes, a few players have been released, like Andre Yarmolenko and players like Mark Noble who have retired. So we have managed to get some bodies in. I'm really excited about Gianluca Scamacca, our big money centre forward signing. First time we've had another striker apart from Mikel Antonio since we sold Sebastian Haller, and that was a couple of seasons ago. So maybe just see how he does. I think he'd be a good signing for us. Edouard at the back as well, centre back. Unfortunately got injured in pre-season, but he looks a real solid addition. I think with many other players as well, wingers as well. So I think we're going to be quite busy and active in the remaining few weeks. And we've also got the loan market to look into as well. I'm expecting a good season from West Ham. I think assuming we get past the Europa Conference League playoff round and get to the group stage, I think we could go quite deep into that competition as well. I don't see why not. With, as you say, we get to the semis of the Europa League, then on paper we should get quite far. So I think, with such a finished squad, David Moyes worked miracles last season. We're doing well in all the cup competitions, so I think it might be a similar thing. Which obviously, as soon to get older, I'll take your hand off again. So let's move into the top 6 now. Lou, do you want to go with your 6th place position?
Yeah, I'm going to very comfortably go with Man United. I just do not see anything. I feel like it couldn't have been a worse start to a season. You got all this sort of fanfare over this Ten Hag era and stuff, and it's just been a disaster. The Ronaldo thing completely undermining everything about the whole team. Constantly will he, won't he stuff. All the transfers they were trying to go for seemingly not wanting to come. The whole fiasco with De Jong. Trying to get players that don't want to go and will they, won't they, and all this kind of stuff. And obviously they brought in Lissandro Martinez and players like that. And is it something Malacia they brought in as well?
Yeah.
So they brought in a couple of players. I don't know. I just feel like whatever momentum for this new Ten Hag era would have started off with would have been Ronaldo in it. 5 or 6 signings instantly at the start of the window within the first couple of weeks. Give them time to bed in the pre-season tours and stuff and get used to this new sort of coaching philosophy. But yeah, it just seemed like a non-starter for United, really. I feel like if you're a United fan, you probably feel the same way in some degree. Like this sort of prophesized era of a new young manager in his prime, and all the sort of stuff that we've heard before, Mourinho and Van Gaal after he won the European Championships. I just don't see it. I really don't. I think they're going to be flat, missing players in key positions. Whatever the hell happens with Ronaldo, I sort of feel like, it's just gone the opposite way for them in terms of whatever the sort of prophesized next step would be. So unless obviously anything can happen. It's football, and with the next couple of windows, and we've seen what a good manager can do to average players. But I feel like they needed a couple of. They've obviously offloaded a lot of deadwood and older players, which is good, and they're starting to clear it out. And maybe Ronaldo leaving might be good for them. Might give players like Sancho and stuff a shot, like we said before, to sort of thrive without that shadow looming over you, kind of thing of one of the GOATs. So yeah, I just think for them, as of right now, as of filming this and based on what we've seen, I don't really see a wonderful season ahead for them yet. I think it's too early.
Cool. Totally agree with everything you said, mate. So I've got Man United for 6th as well. Yeah, I think you're right with Erik ten Hag. I think he's the best manager they've. In terms of being in his prime since Sir Alex Ferguson's retirement, but he just does not have the squad. Hideously ill-balanced, even this far into the window. And Cristiano Ronaldo, will he, won't he stay? That's been a huge cloud over him. Obviously, Frankie de Jong, I think they've pursued him for far too long. Clearly doesn't want to go. Needs to move on. Man City, if the player don't want to come, Alexis Sanchez, you move on. They're ruthless. They move on to someone else. Man United, they're still struggling in that department. Obviously, Christian Eriksen, I think it'll be a good sign. He proved that at Brentford last season, so it'd be good to see him in one of the sort of European clubs, see how he gets on there. Bruno Fernandes is due to have a better season. But yeah, I think you look at their attack, Marcus Rashford has got, he's had his problems. Hopefully he'll improve. Anthony Martial still at Man United. I mean, when is he going to fulfill his potential? I don't think he ever will. Jadon Sancho needs to get back to the form he showed at Dortmund. Harry Maguire's another one at the back. It's only Ronaldo. It was only Ronaldo and De Gea that played anywhere near their capabilities last season, and you can't really go into another season, with Fred and McTominay as your central pair. I mean, Martinez is a defender. I think you're right, Lou. We did a Villa, me and James Rowe the other week. I think it'll be fitting really well at Man United, but they still haven't fixed the holes that were needed. So I think it's going to be a real tough season for Ten Hag. It's going to, as you say, there's going to be a few transfer windows before they get anywhere near the playing style and capability that Ten Hag can prove to this squad. So it's going to be a long season for United, I feel. After that, Ryan, try and follow that up with 6th.
You just want to go, Man United, job done.
Yeah.
Man City. No, I'm joking. No, Man United. There's nothing more I can add to that. Well, I completely agree. But yeah, Man United 6th.
Oh, there we are then. Okay, so I think you might speak more about this next one. So 5th, who you gone for 5th, Ryan?
For 5th, I've gone for Chelsea.
I
still think they're a good squad, and I still think.
Oh yeah.
I still think they've got good potential, but yeah, I think there's obviously been a little bit of for the last couple of seasons a morale, decline a little bit in terms of the situation with Abramovich, etc. And I think they're going to be going for a little bit of a transition. Having said that, they've still got a good squad and they've got a fantastic manager. So I could be completely wrong. They could make top 4 again and they could win trophies. So, but yeah, Chelsea for me 5th.
Fair dues, mate. Good points. And Lou, who's going to fish 5th for you?
I must admit, 5th, 4th, and 3rd this year, I think it's really hard. I don't know if you boys feel the same. I feel like it's another sort of toss-up. I actually agree. I think maybe Chelsea as well. I really do. I feel like, obviously they brought in Sterling, great player as well. I think they paid about 50 million for him as well, which, considering young English player at 27, not in his prime yet, that's a really good buy in this market. Obviously they brought in Koulibaly as well. But then again, really good experience centre back, but again, he's 31. You know what I mean? Obviously defenders maybe age a little bit differently, to some of the in terms of legs and stuff. But I feel like he would have been the signing that they wanted from Napoli 3 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Rather than maybe necessarily now. I know there's talks of them hijacking the Cucurella deal from Man City. Obviously, at the time of recording this, that hasn't happened, but I've seen articles and suggestions about that. Then they've got some players that have come back, like Emerson and Batshuayi and stuff like that. Obviously, losing Lukaku. Werner's in a little bit of a state at the moment. Will he, won't he? Is he not happy playing? So it's what's their options up front now? Really they've got sort of no out and out sort of world class striker again, leading the line sort of thing. So I'm sort of wondering where will they score the goals from? Is Sterling going to bag them 20 goals a season yet? Maybe they might even play him like a more advanced position than a wing as well. Could do potentially. But yeah, I feel like Chelsea's another one that's had a bit of an odd kind of turn of it. Obviously the Abramovich sale, the new owners, then obviously kind of agreeing transfer policies, bringing people in as well. I think they got rid of that Marina. Is it Granovskaya as well? Did a lot of the good
Yeah.
They got rid of her as well. Based on her record, she did a lot of really good work. So that could potentially harm them in whatever new transfer setup they've got. I think they're working closely with Thomas Tuchel, to sort of sign players. But obviously, it's a new area for all of them, isn't it? So I think for those reasons, I'm not too sure where the goals are going to come from yet. They've still got an experienced team and a young team as well. But with the situation with Werner, Havertz has been doing decent as well, but again, is he going to be another 20 goals season yet? So anything can happen. There's still some time in the transfer window, but I think from what Ryan said, I would agree that for those reasons, that's why I think it might be Chelsea this year in 5th.
No, good points for both of you lads. So for 5th, we're going to go with Arsenal. Obviously they've had a fantastic pre-season, but at the end of the day, points aren't on offer. But I think it's more the goal scoring form of Gabriel Jesus, new signing. I think that's been really exciting to see from a neutral point of view. I think it seems to be a great sign already. He'll be the main striker, which he's craved for in his career. He obviously didn't get that at Man City. He'll play virtually every game. You think for Arsenal, I think Zinchenko as well, also from Man City. That's a really astute signing, versatile player. And Jesus has obviously won a number of Premier Leagues under Pep Guardiola the last few years. Fabio Vieira seems a decent addition as well. But yeah, I think they'll just fall short. I think Arsenal are going pretty well under Arteta at the moment. So yeah, I think they'll just fall short, but I think they'll be right in the reckoning with the other sides around them in terms of the Champions League place. I think it was in their hands last season, and they unfortunately blew it. So whether they'll learn from that, we'll find out, I guess. So, but Arsenal for 5th for me. Let's move to the Champions League places, the top 4. I'm going to go with Chelsea. I do agree with what you guys have said. I just think for me, the sign of Raheem Sterling just shows that Chelsea are still a force to be reckoned with, and an attractive team to play for. Obviously, if they didn't have the likes, a manager in Thomas Tuchel's caliber, I think they probably would finish outside the Champions League places. But I think Thomas Tuchel's outstanding. He's proven that already at Chelsea in his career so far. As you boys have said, let Lukaku go out on loan to Inter again. Rudiger and Christensen have both left for Real Madrid and Barcelona, respectively, on free transfers. Yeah, as you say, I think we're interested to see who Koulibaly does. He's been linked with a Premier League move for about 3-4 seasons now.
Yeah.
We're interested to see who he gets. I think Thiago Silva's done pretty well at his age. Obviously, Koulibaly's a bit younger, so will he be able to? I think Koulibaly, when he played for Napoli against Liverpool, I think he's actually quite struggled, I've got to say. So whether one-on-one defending with the speed of the intensity of the Premier League, whether he'll be able to adapt to that remains to be seen. But if he plays well, then obviously Chelsea got a good defender, and they've been linked with obviously a number of defenders as well, and they've got some Asian players in their squad as well. Kante and Jorginho, Aspilicueta, amongst others. So yeah, as you say, mate, Cucurella's been heavily linked. So is Frankie De Jong, who's linked with Man United. So we're just to see if they join. And Conor Gallagher is an interesting one for me because obviously he did brilliantly at Palace. I think Chelsea need more legs in midfield. If he did great at Palace, got into the England setup. So I think he deserves some game time at Chelsea. We're just to see if he does. So I think Chelsea 4th for me. So Ryan, who's 4th for you, mate?
Tottenham. As much as it kills me to admit, I think they're going to get a top 4. I think again they've got a great manager, still a good squad as well. So and they're quite consistent in getting top 4 lately. So I see Tottenham not missing out in the top 4, and it's going to be a tough one this season in terms of who's going to get 4th position and 3rd and 4th, etc. But I see Tottenham there.
Good stuff, mate. And Lou, who's going to finish 4th for you?
Yeah, Tottenham, fourth. I mean, to be fair, they could be higher as well. I mean, you think they'll have Son, Kane, and Richarlison in the same squad. Yeah, and plus some of the other players they brought in January and things like that. Was it
Kulusevski, yeah.
Yeah, he was another good sort of standout for Spurs towards the end of last season as well, wasn't he? And I think there was even a couple more in that squad. I can't think of everyone off the top of my head, but
Bentancur in midfield as well.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So there's a strength and depth to that squad, and with a great manager like Conte as well. I don't really see any scenario where they finish outside the top four in some capacity. So I think they're going to comfortably finish there. And it'd be interesting to see what a player like Richarlison does when we've seen how well he does with the players around him at Everton.
Yeah.
He's going to look to his left and right and see elite players.
Yeah. Good point.
And he's physical, he's strong, he's tall, he's quick. So he's going to, in sort of conjunction with a player like Son, who's got that speed as well. Imagine this. I think it's a really dangerous attacking force this season. I really do. I think that they between those three, they could be up there for sort of golden boot this year. I think.
Yeah, both of you guys saying Tottenham fourth. Are you saying that through the grittiest of teeth? Okay, let's go for third. So, Lou, back to you, Lou. Who's going to fish third for you?
Yeah, do you know what? This is the first time I can ever say this, and it's very controversial. But I'm actually going to go for Arsenal for once. I like to think of myself as a very
take those red tinted glasses off, mate.
No, I'm putting them on for the first time, Bill, in about 10 years.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think of myself as a very realistic, if not harsh, Arsenal fan at times.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement.
And most seasons, I'll open it with a very, very good or bad sense of either hope or despair. And this is the first season in a long time I actually feel optimistic. I don't know what it's sort of hard to say in terms of like being tangible. Obviously, we can only go off like sort of pre-season things at the moment, and we know that that's nothing because the season is long, and you factor in games and injuries and all this kind of stuff. But there seems to be something about this team, a bit of a belief growing, and adding players like Jesus in there, who out and out goal scorer. I think in our last 3 games, and again I know it's pre-season, but we can only go off what we've seen so far based on fact. I think we've scored like 6, 5, and 4 goals or something crazy, with Jesus having like 2 hat-tricks in that as well. We've never really had that in recent seasons. We've always done well, but we've also always fell short of goals. Like we've had issues with Aubameyang not scoring last season. We then had issues with Lacazette not scoring last season. We were relying on Saka and players like that to score the goals in. Now, if you've got 20 goals a season, player like Jesus, providing he stays fit, then the interplay between him and Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli has been outstanding. Like, they're so fluid, they're so quick, and hungry. And Jesus' like intelligence of positioning and knowing where to be when a ball comes in, from what we've seen.
And he's pressing from the front as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Zinchenko, another fantastic signing. I don't know much about Vieira, to be honest with you, but I think Zinchenko was another great buy. Actually, you were talking about United, dwelling too long on players. I think it was a brilliant bit of sort of transfer by Arteta and Edu, and switching when we realised Martinez was not going to want to join, and we just switched, and then we went and bought Zinchenko in like 2 days, something crazy. It like sort of came up on the Friday, and by the Monday or Tuesday, it was all confirmed. Good bit of business moving in the right direction. We're sort of building that core talent of young players and sort of getting rid of a lot of the dead wood and all the sort of things of like, we had that sort of stop-start period, didn't we, post-Wenger, where we sort of brought a couple of managers. We started trying to bring players in to build a new team, and then we've sort of changed our mind on that and let those kind of players go. But yeah, I've got really good feeling this year. Like, I'm actually going into a season feeling positive that, providing, I mean, even in Nketiah, to be fair, in playing with the front two, or there's some options where he can come in as well. And at the end of last season, we saw that he started putting in some goals as well. And typically, I've never really seen too much from Eddie that sort of led me to believe that he might succeed at Arsenal. But he seems to be doing well recently, finding a bit of confidence. So it's a very long-winded answer, but I feel like I've got something positive to say for the first time in about a decade.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate. So, all right, no, I've really good points, mate. We'll see how Arsenal get on. So, Ryan, who have you gone for third place?
I completely agree with you, Lou. Arsenal are my surprise team this year. purely because it's just you would never expect.
I certainly wasn't at the start of this video.
I mean, you could say Arsenal battling, going for top 4, but even going third, well, but we'll settle for fourth if they get fourth anyway. But no, I have the optimism. I think there's something different about this Arsenal team. I think, we've had a lot of ups and downs over the years. We've all been unsure about Arteta, but I think he's pulled some good with Edu. As a partnership, they've pulled some fantastic signings out of the bag. Zinchenko, Jesus as well, Vieira, and plus, the youngsters, Saka, Martinez, they're all, Martinelli, they're all kind of coming out their shell, aren't they, and developing. And Ramsdale in goal. So I just see a ruthlessness now about Arsenal. They're not perfect. They're not going to be, they're not going to be challenging for the title yet or anything like that. But I do see them, improving, and I think it could be a good season that we go for some cups. We're in the Europa League. It'd be lovely if we could win that. But the FA Cup or even the League Cup, I've got nothing against that trophy. A trophy is a trophy, and I see something good this year. But I must say, if we don't win a trophy or we don't get top 4, it is Arteta out. This is his definitive season. He has to get top 4. But I see it happening, and I see us finishing third. Come on, Arsenal.
No further questions, Your Honour. Okay, so for third place, I'm going to go with Tottenham. Saying that through gritted teeth, like you guys for Tottenham for fourth. I think they've seriously gone for it in the transfer market for the first time since they moved stadium. They finally got the checkbook out, signed some players. They've got some real depth for the first time in the attacking areas. Even Perisic, good signing. I think adds real quality and experience. Richarlison, as well, we've mentioned, he's joined from Everton. Obviously proven Pro League player. More talent in the middle of the park. Basuma, we've mentioned. That's a really good signing. And Jed Spencer, he comes highly rated. He was on loan at Nottingham Forest last season, did pretty well in the Championship. So, obviously Antonio Conte's got a full pre-season with them. I think they're going places, Tottenham, I think, under Conte. So, I think they'll finish. I think they're more settled than what Chelsea are at the moment. And Arsenal, obviously, there's still that cloud over their consistency. So I think Tottenham for third for me. So let's move into second, the runners-up spot. I'm going to go with Liverpool. Obviously, Sadio Mane's gone to Bayern Munich, but they bought Darwin Núñez from Benfica. He seems to fit in pretty well straight away, judging by the Community Shield. Played the other day. Fabio Carvalho from Fulham's in a real exciting prospect. I think, obviously, they'll go close with Man City again, like they did last season. But I think they'll just fall short. I think in midfield, I think they could do with more reinforcements in midfield. They've got Henderson and Milner not getting any younger. I think Keita I don't think he's quite the player that he's going to hit the heights like he did at his previous club. So, but they'll go close with Man City again. It's them two for the title race for me. So, Ryan, who's going to finish second for you?
Again, this is going to be so tough between first and second. My a bit like the relegation thing earlier when I said about Nottingham Forest and Southampton. My opinion changes all the time, and it's going to be any of these two clubs really. But I think I've got a feeling it's going to be a little bit different this year, and I'm going for Man City to be second.
Oh, okay.
It's so hard to tell. But I think Liverpool are going to, so are City. I think Pep knows how to win the title and how to keep the team strong. But I think Liverpool are going to go all guns blazing to sort of go for it this season. So I think Man City second.
Well, there we are. I think as long as it's obviously the title race was incredible last season, went to the very last day, tops changed on the last day a couple of times. So if it's anywhere near that, I think we'll be in for a right treat again this season for these two brilliant clubs from the last few seasons. Okay, Lou, so who's runners up for you, mate?
Yeah, I am also going for Man City this year, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Man City have always been a team that have depth and breadth in so many positions. And this season, obviously, they've lost Sterling, Jesus and Zinchenko, sort of staples. Oh, and they've also let Fernandinho go as well. Not that he's but I admit he's been part of the team for a long time, and sort of part of the furniture, if you like, that sort of winning era. And really, they've only brought in Haaland and Phillips, which not only Haaland and Phillips, but do you know what I mean? I feel like they've lost 3 big members of their team, and I don't think that as of yet they've replaced all of them. Obviously, Haaland is an outstanding bit of business, especially for 54 million as well. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more than that with agent fees and all these kind of crazy wages and stuff. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in the sort of Premier League, era sort of thing. The same for Darwin Núñez at Liverpool as well. Liverpool. But then you look at Liverpool and you look at Salah and you look at Firmino, and they've got other proven players at that level that can score goals. And if you take out Haaland now, and they've lost Jesus and Sterling, who have they got that can bang that amount of goals in as well? And to be fair, Haaland's got a good record of. I mean, he gets injured now and then, but I don't think he's had like big long stretches out on the sidelines, as far as I can remember off the top of my head. Anyway, at least. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough season for Man City. Actually, I still think they'll comfortably be second. And to be fair, we do know that Man City in recent times have been sometimes slow starters at the start of their seasons as well, haven't they? And then they've kind of really grown into it as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens for them, but I don't have the same sort of confidence. I just feel like their outgoings haven't been fully replaced. Like they've lost 3 strikers, brought in 1 world-class striker, and then a brilliant defensive midfielder, but they haven't replaced the left back yet. They haven't got some backups in those attacking positions. So for that reason, I'm going to put Man City second.
No, just in points, lads. Yeah, fair play. Okay, let's go to who's going to win the league, the champions. So, Ryan, obviously you think Liverpool going to win it. So, why do you think they're going to win it this year?
Purely just because, again, it's so tough to pick this. I would not be surprised if City win it. It could come down to the day, and it's a bit of a luck of the draw, really, toss of a coin. But I just personally think, similar reasons to what Lou said, why City might decline this year a little bit with some of the players have lost. And I think Liverpool, you can tell Klopp really wants to win the title, just missed out last year. And I think they're going to give everything they can to make it happen. So Liverpool for me.
Nice one. Okay, well, I think, Man City going to win the league again. 2 quality signings in Erling Haaland and Calvin Phillips. I think Haaland, if he does anywhere near what Jesus did, goal scoring wise, I think they're still the team to beat with the amount of goals that City do score. Raheem Sterling wasn't a regular starter last season, and they've still got the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Cancelo chips in with goals, Riyad Mahrez. I expect Jack Grealish to have a better season this season. I think they are by far still the team to beat. But I think it will go close again between Liverpool and Man City. But I think Man City will win another title under Pep Guardiola. So, Lou, as you started the video, you can finish it. So, why do you think Liverpool are going to win the league?
Yeah, I just think they look really hungry again. I think they've got plenty of depth and breadth in quite a lot of positions. Bringing in a young player like Darwin Núñez, same, how will he fare in the Premier League? Obviously, he's new to the Premier League, physicality and stuff. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for him. But even in spite of someone like that, they've still got players that can score a lot of goals in other positions as well. I just think they look hungry this year, and I feel like they're going to come out of the gates pretty fast with a bit of intent. I think they handled the Sadio Mane thing very well, very quickly with the transfer away to Munich. They didn't sort of try and keep a player against his will. They didn't sort of dick around with, Willy won't-lees. They just got shit done, Bill. Do you know what I mean? Like they just literally got things done, got things moving, handled it well, paid their respect to everything he's achieved, brought in their new sort of future, if you like, into an already experienced winning squad. And I just think they'll hit the ground running this year. I really do.
Oh, there we are. I think it'll be an exciting title race again. That's for certain. So, but there we are, lads. That was fantastic. Thanks again, lads, for your predictions. Some I expected, some I clearly didn't expect, which makes the video more interesting, obviously. We'll hopefully be another excellent season. So, thanks, guys, and we'll see how we get on. And who's going to win? Whether it be you again, Lou, or be me or Ryan will take the crown for this season. So we'll see how we go. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe to Catch Football if you're new. Let us know your Premier League predictions for this season in the comments below. It'd be great to read those. And we'll see you soon. All the best. Take care.